Hello and welcome to Supporting Different Strokes webinar. We're really pleased to have you with us here this morning. I'm Lauren.
I'm Jo. Hello.
And we both work for Different Strokes. Just let us know in the chat if you can hear us okay. Firstly, before we get started, we just want to say thank you for being here. It's the last day of our first ever virtual conference. I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen so far. And there is one more webinar this afternoon. So I also need to let you know that this talk is being recorded, but anything that you discuss in the chat function or any questions that you ask will be anonymous. All good, you can hear us both. Jo, do you want to say hello again? Check they can hear you.
Hi everybody, hope you can hear me okay.
Perfect, loud and clear. That is, I think, one of my issues. I'm very okay, so anything you do discuss or can't hear Jo?
Oh, okay. Definitely not on mute.
This is the age of technical issues, isn't it, when we're doing everything on Zoom?
Very muffled. Should I try my headset?
Oh, there we go. If you put your headset on.
Let me try the headset.
Oh, that sounds good to me. How's that now,
everyone?
guys? Yeah, right,
okay.
Perfect. Well, that's good. We've got that out of the way early on, which is always good news. Cool. So if you're new to Zoom, which most of us are this year, you can access the chat function, and you do that just by hovering your mouse towards the bottom of the screen, and you can select chat and type to us there, and you can also submit questions throughout the talk using the Q&A function. So in the chat, if you want to let us know what you've had for breakfast this morning, that'd be great. I've had my Weetabix, so I'm ready and raring to go. Jo, have you had a nice breakfast?
Yeah, I've had my strange breakfast this morning.
Jo's very healthy, so she has like quinoa, porridge and all sorts of things. So you probably want to know who we are and why we're here on your screens this morning. So we'll introduce ourselves. I'm Lauren. I do all of the marketing for Different Strokes, and my work history is a bit weird. It's a bit like crazy paving. I've worked in television and the corporate sector, and then I found myself wanting to do something that made an impact on real people and not just someone's pocket. And about 8 years ago, I moved into working in the charitable sector. Originally, I started working for a charity for older people, and I worked out of a large retirement village. And within that village, there was a gym. And in that gym, each week, younger stroke survivors would meet for a rehabilitation course put on by the gym instructor. And when I got time, I would pop in and I'd talk to people and I'd get to know the people in there. And I was just really inspired by the spirit of the younger stroke survivors. I was used to being around people with dementia or sadly at their end of the life. And in that gym, I saw hope. And I saw people who'd had a big setback, but they were able to improve and move forward. And then that's why when a job came up with Different Strokes, I thought, do you know what? I want to get involved in that. Initially, I started with a 12-month contract, and that was 4 years ago. We do joke it's a bit like Hotel California at Different Strokes. Everyone comes for a year or 2 years, but then we never leave because we love it so much. So yeah, I started on a 12-month contract, and originally that was to rebrand the charity. We had some funding through the National Lottery, and I've learned a lot in those 4 years. It's been great to see the charity really transform and grow. We totally rebranded, we've become more financially sustainable, and most importantly, we're supporting more survivors every single year. And this is only really possible because of the support of other people like you on this call today who are willing to get involved. So thank you. Right, I'm going to pass you on to Jo to do her bit.
Hello everyone. I've just noticed that Pam had crunchy nut cornflakes this morning, so that sounds yummy. So a little bit about myself. I'm Jo and I'm the fundraising manager at Different Strokes. So I heard about Different Strokes on the local news one evening, and at the time I was looking for a voluntary role to boost my confidence after being a stay-at-home mum for a couple of years. And not long before that, my brother had had a stroke, and I was quite shocked at how dismissive the hospital were to even consider a stroke because of his age. So when I heard about Different Strokes, it seemed like the perfect charity to work for, because I felt like awareness needed to be raised of younger stroke. So I volunteered for about 14 months, and then a part-time role became available in 2014. And like Lauren said, I haven't looked back since. I love that Different Strokes is open to new ideas. We're able to quickly react to feedback from our community, and I can see how the money that I help to raise directly impacts stroke survivors. So Lawrence is going to talk a little bit about the charity in the background. Let's hand it over.
Thank you very much, Jo. So me and Jo, we're a bit cheesy. We love a good quote to get the day started. And so when we came to thinking about doing this presentation, we just kept thinking about the quote, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." And for those of you who may not be familiar with Different Strokes, we just wanted to share a bit about the founding story. So Donal O'Kelly founded Different Strokes 24 years ago. He was a barrister in his 40s, living in London. And one day at work, in court, he had a severe stroke. He was not expected to survive the night. Like Jo's brother, it was initially misdiagnosed. He spent the next 2 months on a hospital ward, paralysed down the left side, lost the ability to speak, he could not walk, and he was doubly incontinent. After 9 months, he decided to go back to work, and he soon realised that the cognitive impact of the stroke meant that work at that time was too difficult. Isolated and dejected, he was encouraged to meet other younger stroke survivors by family and friends. And then when he started to meet others who understood, he recognised the huge value of peer support. At that time, post-stroke rehabilitation seemed to consist mostly of day centres, playing bingo or basket weaving. There was little encouragement for those who wanted to struggle back to a new semblance of normality as best they could and start to reclaim their lives. The realisation dawned on Donal that younger stroke survivors needed much more to assist them if they were going to make the best recovery their bodies would allow. That assistance was not easily available, and so he decided that self-help was the way forward, along with emotional support, gentle exercise, and information that was tailored to younger people. And from this notion, Donal formed a small team who lent their many diverse skills to getting Different Strokes off the ground. They wanted to spread it out as a national charity. They very quickly got an interactive website up, and we were one of the first in the charity sector to have an interactive message board, which continues today on Facebook. Initially, there was no money, so no one got paid. Donal had to use his own money for expenses, travelling up and down the country, trying to kickstart local exercise groups, and using his flat in Hackney as the admin headquarters. In Donal's kitchen, a series of meetings of younger stroke survivors hammered out the aims and the objectives of what they wanted Different Strokes to be. A carefully drawn up memorandum was registered with the charity commissioner, and the trustees were appointed, most of who were stroke survivors themselves. In the summer of 2003, about 14 years after starting the charity, Donal was ready to go back to work. He still keeps in touch with us from time to time, and today the foundations of what was built at that table in his flat in Hackney have grown. We now have 40 local groups, nearly 6,000 people on our online group, peer support, a telephone service, a befriending service, daily online exercise sessions, a staff team of 9, most of us part-time, 5 of whom are stroke survivors, and 120 amazing volunteers. And because of that, we support thousands of younger stroke survivors every single year. To us, Donal was the leader in using his experience to help others, in seeing that something was missing and then providing what was missing for other people. And now everyone in the Different Strokes family does the same. We don't receive government funding, we don't have fancy offices, but we do have a strong community of stroke survivors and families determined to support their own recovery, and then maybe a bit later on to help someone else in the same boat. I know that many of you watching today play a part in that team already, and you support us, which means everything. We are growing, but we're still small enough to acknowledge and be thankful for every single act. Every fundraiser that signs up, every group that gets off the ground, every success story is noticed by one of us, and often it makes our days. Often me and Jo in normal times are dancing at our desk and getting excited. So today we're going to share with you all the ways that you can continue to help Different Strokes and continue Donal's groundwork to support younger stroke survivors to reclaim their lives. And I'll pass you on to Jo.
Hello again. So I'm just going to talk to you about what we spend funds on and also the social impact. So I might repeat some of what Lauren said, but just to reiterate it. So at Different Strokes, we don't have really big overheads. We've got a really small office here. So more of what is raised is used directly to support younger survivors. We help around 1,000 survivors every year via our helpline and the email service. And our last social impact survey showed that 84% of our beneficiaries rated their experience as excellent or good. We have 40 groups around the country with around 900 members. And as of 2018, they had contributed around 18,000 hours of voluntary time. We send out information packs, and we also have special packs for children, which helps them understand what's happened to their mum or dad. And 91% rated this information as excellent or good. As part of the social impact report, we work out a return on investment on the funds that we receive. So I'm just going to run a little poll, which I think Lauren's going to set up for me. So for every £1 raised, how many pounds worth of services does Different Strokes turn this into? So if you know the answer to that, if you can make your selection. Okay. Okay, a couple more of you still to vote. Okay, I think that's everyone. Okay, the correct answer is £4. So half of you got that right, so well done. Some of you have done your homework on our impact report. So yeah, so we turn £1 of funds raised into £4 worth of services. So the calculation to work this out is actually quite complex, but effectively it is a stroke survivor feeling connected and listened to, so they don't need to seek medical help for mental health issues or gaining confidence to get back to work, or they might improve their physical health through exercise and so avoid going to the GP, or it could be all of those things. So Different Strokes is based on peer support. And we also believe that stroke survivors are the experts themselves, and we never underestimate the power of that peer support in recovery, as we see it firsthand every single day. So I'm going to move on to some good news. It's amazing news this month. We're pleased to announce that we will be receiving a large donation from Percy's pals. They're a Hampshire-based organisation which was established in memory of Dr. Richard Percival. The funds were raised originally for a new bedside head scanner at the Specialist Wessex Neurological Centre at Southampton Hospital. So we'll be announcing further details about this next week, but their funding will enable us to extend our new online support activities well into 2021. We'll ensure the continuation of our teen and young adult befriending service and some of the general running costs of the charity. It will also enable us to focus on some work specifically in the Hampshire area, further raising awareness of stroke in younger people and the support that we can offer. So we are incredibly grateful to Percy's pals for this really generous donation. So I'm just going to move on a little bit to how this year's impacted us. It has impacted us a lot, like most other charities. But it has given us a chance to reevaluate and come up with new ways to support survivors. So this has been really positive. Everyone at Different Strokes had worked really hard leading up to the pandemic, and so we had a stable income and good reserves ready to expand and improve our services into 2020 and 2021. So this has seen us through the pandemic so far. However, we have lost the majority of our summer events income. And government support from the furlough scheme will also end soon. So we now need a strategy to ensure that we can remain in a stable situation into next year. So Lauren and myself will now go through some of the ways that you can support us financially, but also because we know not everyone can support us this way, we also have some other ways that you can get involved. So firstly, one of the best ways that supporters can help us achieve the stability that we need is by setting up a direct debit. The regular monthly income from these allows us to plan with a degree of certainty because they're usually a longer term commitment over several years. So they can be included in our strategic plans for new services and improvements. So if you can support us in this way, we would be extremely grateful. And details of how to do this will be sent to you after the conference. If you've got any questions or if you'd like further information before you make that commitment, then please do get in touch. So I'm just going to hand you back to Lauren. She's going to talk to you about another way that you could get involved.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jo. So we don't have a huge marketing budget. We tend to hope that through word of mouth, through our volunteers in the local area and social media, that we can spread the word and reach more people. So one really simple way that you can support us is by sharing our posts on social media. It sounds so small, but an example of this last week is my friend shared a post about a dog show we've got coming up. She isn't a stroke survivor, she's not affiliated other than that she's my friend. And then she received a message from someone she knew who was also in their 30s, who'd had a stroke a few weeks ago and did not know where to turn, had never met anyone their age who'd had a stroke. And they got in touch with us and now they're getting help and support. So it just shows you what such a small gesture can do and what impact that can have. So if you see our posts, do share them, do get the word out there.
Okay, so the next way you could get involved is with one of our online fundraising events. We've got a couple of these at the moment. So as I mentioned before, having lost the summer events income, I've been tasked with raising money online. So I returned from furlough on the 1st of July, and we've already had our first online quiz. So this was really popular. And we're going to run the next one on the 7th of October. So I hope you can join us for that. It is a bit of fun, but there is a serious prize involved. So I hope you can rally all your friends and family to take part in that. As Laura mentioned, we've also launched our virtual dog show competition. Again, this is proving popular. And we're really enjoying receiving all the pictures of all the scruffy and cute doggies. So keep those coming. I'm also working on a bingo night, so that will be on its way soon. So please watch this space for that, and hope you get involved with some of those activities.
Brilliant. And we're all very jealous because we work for different strokes. We can't do the quiz or put our dogs in. So you have to do it on our behalf. It's great fun. So another thing you can do, a lot of you on this call work in healthcare. And a simple thing you can do is tell your patients about us. Contact us, we've got leaflets we can send you. We hear a lot from people who wish they'd heard of us sooner. It's really scary when someone transitions from hospital or rehab to home, and we like to think that we can fill that gap and make that a less daunting prospect for survivors and the people supporting them at home. So again, get in contact with us, we'll send you out leaflets and ask questions. If you're not quite sure what we can do for your patients, get in touch on an individual basis and talk to us. And again, we'll put details of that in an email after this call.
Okay, another way is our sponsored events. So I don't know if we've got any daredevils amongst us. If you want to respond in the chat if you're up for this. So we've got two events that you could potentially take part in. The first is our abseil, which was cancelled this year, which was really sad. But it has been rescheduled for the 8th of May next year. So you get the chance to abseil from the ArcelorMittal orbit, it's really hard to say, at the Olympic Park. It's our favourite day of the year. It really is an amazing day of empowerment for many stroke survivors and their friends and family who come to take part. And it's one of the highlights of the year, so we really have missed it. Alternatively, you can do something a little bit scarier. Would you take on a skydive? There are various airfields around the country, and you get to do this for free when you raise a minimum sponsorship of £360. Again, I'll send you details of how to sign up to these events after the conference. I'd also welcome any suggestions of things you'd like to get involved in or things you'd like to see us organise. So please do get in touch if you've got any ideas. Okay, over to Lauren.
Thank you, my love. I've just seen that someone's been nominated in the chat. I won't say.
Okay.
Seems like nominating a friend is the way forward.
Okay.
So we wanted to give some options if you're a stroke survivor yourself, because obviously peer support is the lifeblood of what we do. So one way you can do this is sharing your story. Every Sunday we share a survivor's story on our website, and over the course of lockdown my lovely colleagues Janice and Sheila have been interviewing stroke survivors to talk about their experiences in lockdown and also their stroke. So it's always one of the most popular things that we do. I think it can really help someone else to read someone's story and realise that they're not alone. Also, it doesn't take too much courage because you don't have to interact. Sometimes going to a group, whether online or physically, can be a bit scary. So just reading someone's story can be a good first step for someone being able to relate to another person. We have a format for both, so we can support you to do this. And we do often get feedback from stroke survivors that actually writing the story and sharing it can be quite cathartic and can also help aid a bit of the recovery process because you're having to go back and revisit those emotions. Another thing you can do if you're a stroke survivor, a supporter or a healthcare worker or anyone else is volunteer. At the moment, our groups sadly can't meet due to COVID-19, but we are waiting when it's safe to do so again. If there's not a group in your area, we can support you to set one up when the world is a bit more settled. So we do provide training, we do seed funding for every new group, and we can help you to promote it. So essentially it's that being the change you want to see again. If you see in your area there's something missing, get in touch with us and we can support you to be that change. We also have volunteers across different areas of the charity. In normal times, we have volunteers in the office. We've also got a great group of volunteers who help us, for instance, with our Instagram and with our Facebook group. So generally, if there is a specific volunteering opportunity, we will put up on our social media, our website, or in our e-newsletter.
One of the most personal ways you can help us is to include different strokes in your will. Most of the bigger charities receive a large proportion of their income from legacies, but it's quite a new way for different strokes, and we've only had a handful over the last 20 years. This has mainly been because it's quite a sensitive subject and really needs to be handled in the right way. We recently joined an organisation called Remember a Charity, whose mission it is to make will writing a normal activity for everybody, so young or old, rich or poor, because it really is the only way to make sure your wishes are carried out. So we actually received a very special legacy in 2017. The person who left the gift was actively involved with different strokes, with fundraising events, and the family knew that different strokes was close to her heart, so the family asked for the money to be spent on a specific project. And after some consideration, it was agreed that it would be spent on supporting new groups. In the first year of this legacy, it was able to fund the setup of 3 new groups. And then some family members decided to continually top up this fund with a direct debit, and the fund continues to support new groups to this day. So I'd be really happy to discuss this further if this is something you've been thinking about, so please do get in touch. So I just want to say thank you for listening to us today. We hope we have inspired you to take some action in being the change that you want to see for younger stroke survivors in whichever way you can do this, so financially or non-financially, with all the different ways that we've mentioned today. So that's it from us today. We'll welcome any questions that you might have that you want to post in the chat. We'll see if we get any.
Just checking now. It looks like there's no questions. Oh, brilliant. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And like Joe says, we will send an email now just with everything, all the information that we've talked about today.
If there's anything anybody thinks of, then you can also email us as well, and everything will be sent to you after the conference.
That's brilliant. And then don't forget, we've got one last talk this afternoon. It's a panel talk about reclaiming your life and moving forwards at 2 o'clock. If you're not signed up for this and you would like to attend, just drop us an email.
Thanks everyone. Bye.